V'zehu v'yakel Moshe kol hadas b'nei Yisrael. This is the meaning of the verse that Moshe gathered all the congregation of the sons of Israel. We just discussed the concept of Eda. Eda pechusam yud. She'ein Eda pechusam yud, that there's no congregation less than 10. Al kol panim at least. Agam shechlalu sahu shishim ribu kanal. And even though in general the congregation is 600,000. And the concept of Eda is that it's from the concept of knowledge, Chochma Bina Das, that the word Aid, or the word Eda is the shoresh is Das. Ach b'malchus datzilus nikra Eda b'hei, but when Das goes down to malchus of Atzilus, it's called Eda with a hey. It's added to the word da. Why does it have a hey? Because Malchus, which is compared to the moon, doesn't have any light of its own. Only that which it receives from the sun. That the whole building of Malchus is only from the 10 spheros of Zeranpin. Chnei b'Torah or Parshas Vayechi b'Habir al Pasuk Yehuda Ata. Look in Torah or in Vayechi and explaining what it means. Yehuda, your brother. Now your brothers will acknowledge you, because Yehuda is the concept of Malchus, and the brothers acknowledge him, so to speak. That his existence comes from the acknowledgement of his brothers, I guess. B'Habir al Pasuk give you Levush Malchus, and the concept of bringing the garment of the kingship. Talking about binyan hamalchus, kimi bechinas malchus should be keser nase keser should be malchus, and that is that the spheros of malchus come from the spheros above it. That from keser of malchus, that malchus of keser becomes keser of malchus. Bechinas hamalchus should be chachma nase chachma should be malchus, and from malchus of chachma that becomes chachma of malchus. Okay, shenigmar called binyan hamalchus biyud spheros nikra eda. When you have a building of the Malchus completely from the 10 spheros, that's what's called a congregation. That because 10 have gathered into it, that is the 10 kingships, the Esther spheros held Yonos Mimena of the 10 spheros above it. In another place it's explained that this is the concept of all the rivers go to the sea, all the rivers of the flow of the other spheres go to the sea of Malchus. And their source is only the concept of the 5 kindnesses and the 5 strictnesses, that comes from Das, that divides, it's the source for Chesed and Gvura in the intellect, that divides into the two sides of emotion. While it's still in the mind, the 2 crowns, so to speak, of Das. That's the Hei Chasadim and Hei Gvuros, that's the 10 that goes into Malchus. So what does it mean then that Moshe gathered all the congregation? Because the gathering of these 10 of the 5 kindnesses and the 5 strictnesses, in order to unite them in a unity and inclusion, it's Moshe that does this. It's the concept of Moshe. Ein b'Torah or b'dibur hamaschel as yashir Moshe b'nei Yisrael shemoshu malma diskasya shisham hakol b'iskalolus chulu. And look what it says in Torah or as yashir that Moshe sang and the sons of Israel. Why is Moshe leading the song? And Moshe is from the hidden world. That in the hidden world everything is included one in the other. It's the concept of inclusion, and that's why he causes the inclusion and the unity in the sons of Israel. Yisod Abba, that Moshe corresponds with Yisod Abba, the Chamshacha from Chachma. That's still above the concept of division. That division comes through Das, like we said, Moshe is born, like will be explained. And this is the general concept of that Moshe gathered all the congregation. Haga, and a large comment here. I know I'm not sure where it is. At any rate, the comment is that he elevated them in this, that they were drawn down in a state of divided branches, to be included in a union and an inclusion, that the way to unite them as they are below is through a state of nullification, that they have to get bittul, that when a person feels their own existence and themselves as something important, so this is the source of division. Like it says that from there it divides. In the place of nullification, that's where you have union and inclusion. Like it says that he makes peace in his heavens, between water and fire, that they do not put each other out because of the state of nullification, so the infinite light may be blessed. That's why by the souls of Esav it says it in the plural, souls. B'Yakov ksiv ayin nefesh, and by Yaakov it says 70 soul. Lashon Yochid in the singular, lefi shem yotzei yerech Yaakov yud ekev chul, because they come out of the lower concept of Yaakov, the yud that goes to the heel. And that's sort of like Moshe. Moshe is also the concept of Yud, the Chochmah, the flow from Chochmah, this Yisod Abba, like we said. And like it says about this in Siddur, about in the gate of the Lulav, Binyan Daled Minim Shebelulav, concerning the 4 parts of the Lulav, Shem Keneged Daled Osios Havaya, that correspond with the 4 letters of Hashem's name, Asher Kulam Morim Alaha Achdus, each one represents the concept of unity, v'hais kalalus, and inclusion, hepech hapirud chulu, the opposite of division. Lulav alav kafusin yachad, just like the lulav itself, the palm branch, that its leaves are attached as one. That's why it's called the kapos, the kafus. It's either from the language of tied or bent over, or from the language of like a kaf hayad, the palm of the hand, that all the fingers, I guess, are connected one with the other. Lashon kafus, but the word kafus also is that they're attached. And not like other trees, shanfein mispardin, that their leaves are separate from one another and don't grow like that in an attached state like the lulav does. And over there it's explained that these leaves are united like this. It's because it represents this idea of das. It's the das that unites them, shihu mamshich b'chinas ayin, that draws down the state of naught into the division in order for them to be united as one. That's why in klipos they don't have this concept of das. Like in Kedusha, even though they have the concept of wisdom and understanding. So here we're explaining the concept of das causes the union, but before we explain that the concept of das causes division, we must say that from das you can have both concepts, whether it's the division through the 5 strictnesses that are in it, that it's the nature of strictnesses to divide and break up. And the inclusion is from the concept of the 5 kindnesses that are in it, to draw down the concept of nullification even in the place of division. Like we said, with the concept of him, that he makes peace between the water and the fire. And exactly the opposite. That this is that even in the place of division, you'll also draw down the inclusion and the state of nullification. If you want to do such a thing, you have to draw down from an even higher place, which is what Das can accomplish. Like it says that that there's a spring that goes out from the Holy of Holies, Vishka Filus Nachal Shitim, and can even water the river of Shittim that caused the Bnei Israel to sin with the daughters of Midian. So because it's coming from such a special place, from the spring from the Holy of Holies, that's why it can even go and cause a purification of the Nachal Hashitim, which is the negative concept, the division. Which is not the case with the river. It says that from the concept of the river, that's where you have division, from there. And this is similar to what it says in the Maamar, that I'll engage you to me with the concept of my heart and my flesh will sing to Kel Chai. Look over there. Look over there. And we can further say, further, I guess, in this concept of how Das is both inclusion and has both the inclusion and division, and draws from a higher place in order to have both of them together, to have the union in the division. As it's known, Kikel Deus, that Hashem is a divinity of two perspectives. That within Zir Anpin there's two concepts of Das. Das Tachton, there's a lower Das that divides into Chesed and Gvura. Vedas Elyon Diza, and within Zir Anpin there's another concept of Das, the higher concept of Das, Hunimshach Misod Abba, that comes from Misod Abba. Vaischalkus Lechesed Vigvura, the division into kindness and strictness, and afterwards to thousands and thousands and myriads, that all comes from the lower level of Das. And about this it says, and to him are fixed all his plottings and actions, and to him is with a vav, and to him that this is shaykh to him, all the different divisions, all the different things that happen. Because this Das comes down and divides. Aval Das ha'elyon, but the higher level of Das within Zah, Einu Yored Mischalik Bechesed Vigvura, does not come and divide into kindness and strictness. But the point of the higher concept of Das elyon, is to unite Chochma and Bina. And about this it says, we spell Velo with an aleph, that we do not say unto him or all these plottings and actions that happen below, because he's above it. Velo be'aleph, the lo has an aleph in it. K'mosh kazav l'kutei Torah mahari zal parsha shmos al pasuk v'yad havaya kisar liros vayin mashe kazav l'kutei Torah b'shir hashirim dibur hamaskal b'yad al pasuk l'bavtini v'sham perek beis shebechinas Das elyon. And look in l'kutei Torah shir hashirim in the Bavtini, where it says that the concept of the higher level of Das bechinas soviv kol almin, that's the concept of as he encompasses the worlds. The Soviet. And the lower level of Das, that says he fills the world. Therefore, the concept of the division of the levels comes from the lower level of Das, the lower level of knowledge. That the division comes from this concept as he fills the worlds, and each world has its own level, and so forth. Which is not the case as he encompasses the worlds, he encompasses them as one. Look over there. And look in Tanya about this as well. Therefore, it's through drawing down the higher concept within Das that we draw the concept of inclusion. So the first explanation was that we divide Das into Hei Chasadim and Hei Gvuros. And the second explanation is that we divide Das into Das Elyon and Das Tachton. The Chenis Bor B'Torah or Parshas told us Babi al Pasuk Ma'im Rabim Daf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph Ki Be'amidus She'ha'ikar Hadisavus U'Mina Seichel She'achis Chalkus Chulu. So it says in Torah or in Toldos in Ma'im Rabim in the beer that in the attributes, the emotional attributes, that their main creation is from intellect. That's where you can have division on bin mispardin, the divided branches, one from the other, which is not the case above intellect. You cannot say there's division over there at all. And this is like the difference between the world of where beyond Atzilus, where everything is in one vessel, and the world below Akudim, where which is in general the concept of Tohu. Each one is in the Kuda. Each vessel has its own spot, so it's not as much. It's more division and so forth. That's the concept of Anpin Mispardin in general. Why is this? Because the dots is from the concept of Chachma. And there within Chachma is the beginning of division. That's where you can have division. But the concept of Akudim Keser, that comes from Keser, that's the concept beyond division. This is in general because dividing these worlds up into Keser and Chachma is not necessarily a standard interpretation. Look what it says. Look what it says in Likutei Torah, that it will make you earrings, lines of gold with silver points. And that is connected to this idea of Nikudim and so forth. Das Elyon, who amamshich ma'akeser yain sham, that it says that the higher concept of Das is what draws down from Keser. Look over there. And therefore, from there you can understand with this concept of Moshe gathered, ki Moshe hu yisod abba Das Elyon shel zeranpin, that's the idea of Das Elyon, that Moshe is this idea of Yisod Abba, which is Das Elyon of Za. And that's why Moshe is the one who gathers them, because he's the one who makes the inclusion of Bnei Yisrael, because he's the one who's drawing down from the Akudim, where everything is in one vessel. I guess it's also connected to the fact that he is from the Mayim, from beyond. And that's why Moshe is the one specifically who does this, because he's the Das Elyon, the higher knowledge, which is why he's the faithful shepherd, that he draws down this concept of knowledge, even to the souls, which are called the seed of animal. That the souls that are on the lower level, that are like the animals, they need a shepherd. That's why he can do it, because he's the shepherd, because he's the one who draws down this task. So it's as if you would give an animal knowledge. Like the Maamar that Yisrael saw in Bishalach, that they believed in Havaya and in Moshe. That Moshe is the one that causes the Emunah. He brings down the Emunah to them. Or he brings it down into Moshe, the Emunah. That you bring down the Emunah into Havaya and into Moshe. Or whatever it is. Look over there. Now, there's a number of levels with this concept of nullification and inclusion. That the inclusion and the state of nullification of the world of Bria and the heavens and the hosts of heaven bow down to you. That's called, it's still in existence in comparison to the state of nullification in the higher world of Atzilus. And similarly, you have levels like this in Atzilus itself. This is what it means that Moshe gathered. Because Moshe comes from this concept of Chachma. What are we? That he said that we are Ma, which is the concept of the supernal Chachma, which is the strength of this concept of Ma of Bittul. That's why he drew down this concept of nullification and inclusion within the congregation of the sons of Israel. There, this concept of Malchus, the lower level of unity, which like the concept of in the pasuk of Shema, in the pasuk Baruch Shem, that la'olam voed, the word voed is the same letters as echad when you flip the letters. To elevate them to the concept of the higher unity of the pasuk Shema, of the higher unity, because Baruch Shem is the lower unity. Like the concept of to call down holy, that the holidays are not on the level of Shabbos, because they're more from the level of Bina, whereas Shabbos is on the level of Chachma, and they call the holidays in order to draw down the Chachma to them. And look what it says in Ve'ela Mishpatim about how when Hashem calls to Avraham, there's a psik in between the two Avrahams, a line in between them dividing the concepts. Moshe lo psik taima, but when Hashem calls out to Moshe, there's no division, there's no line in between the Moshes. Because Avraham, that's in Bria, and as he is in Atzilus, they're not in the same concept. That in the world of Bria, it's a concept of a new creation, so to speak, that he says that I am dust and ashes, in comparison to as he is in Atzilus. But Moshe, as he is in Atzilus and as he is in Bria Shavin, they're equal. Because he's an inner concept. That he corresponds with this concept of the light and the cord from the infinite light, that this light comes down into all the worlds equally, and Moshe represents this idea. Look what it says that the Moshe called Havaya Havaya. That Moshe is the one to draw down this level. And that's why there's no psik by him, because he was able to accomplish and draw down Havaya Havaya, to unite Beis Shemos Havaya, these two names of Havaya. Mashaya psik taimechulu, this, that there was a division between the names. How was he able to draw down both names? That is, that the hidden world, should shine in a revealed state, in the revealed world, because this is the concept of Moshe, to take away the division of the psik in between them. Because he didn't have a psik in between his names, I guess. That's why Moshe is the one who's able to gather them. Also similar to what our sages said, that the world could have been created with one statement, but it was created with 10 elashi. But if it was created only in one statement, it would be completely united and without any division. Parshas told us that there he explains, the Ramaz explains that you have these 10 statements that are the 10 spheros that are divided from one another. And then in them the world was created, and it was that is Zon below, and that it could have been created with one statement, that corresponds with the level of Arich. And that's called one. it could have been created and as it will be in the time to come, it'll go up to that level. Look over there in the Ramaz. Parshas told us. If so, would not have been created in 6 days, because again we're taking away this concept of division, but it would have been created in 1 day and in one moment. And it's known that these 6 days are the 6 sides, the 6 emotional attributes, that from there is the root of division. Which is not the case if it would have been created with one statement in 1 day. And similarly, we can say the concept that Moshe gathered, that he draws down from the concept of wisdom, and that chokhmah is a garment to arich, which is, like we said, it's called the one statement. Look what it says about to you, my heart. I search for your countenance, that's through searching for your countenance, Hashem, the Hainu, Ayidei Asik, HaTorah, that is through the study of Torah, the toil in Torah, which is the countenance of Havaya, so to speak. That's why through this you come to the inner concepts of the heart. That's like it says, and how do you do that? You look in the Torah and you get to the Pnimis Alev. And this is the gathering and the elevation from the mountains of separation, to be in a state of I don't desire anything, only to be with you, and so forth. And not even the things that are imcha, because you're completely one. And that's why the pasuk Shema Yisrael, the word Shema means to gather, the kibbutz. Because you go up to that level of unity where everything's gathered in. So too in Parshas V'Haya, this that we say that you're going to gather your grain is also this concept of unity, which is the same concept of oneness, and that we say that you should love Hashem, which is also the concept of unity. So Shema is unity, Va'ed is unity, V'ahavta is unity, and V'asafta D'Ganecha is unity. Like our sages said, that all your deeds should be united for the sake of heaven. And the ghost there, it brings that Yosef's gathering of the sheaves is similar to this concept that Moshe gathered in Mashikoz Minyan Das Elyon V'das Tachton. B'dibur hamaschil Moshe daber, b'dibur hamaschil v'shashik demu Yisrael naser, ish perek gimel b'dibur hamaschil lebabtinia chusi kala. Look in those memorim for this concept as well.